A lot has been made of the fact that rap isn't doing the numbers that it used to 5 to 10 years ago. Album sales overall just seem to be kind of down. Singles aren't really dominating the charts anymore. It's mostly, pop and country songs dominating the charts. Ticket sales as a whole seem to be kind of down as well. We're seeing artists that we would like to think of as super popular and having huge fan bases cancel tour dates because of low ticket sales. Pretty much all of the numbers or metrics that you can really point at when it comes to music seem to be trending down for rap, and it's caused a lot of people to have this discussion and really try to diagnose what the exact problem is. But I'm here to say that I think that rap falling off might just be a good thing. What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Paying. Today I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why I believe rap falling off is probably a good thing. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. Rap has been one of the most dominant musical genres over the last 20 years or so now, but it really got crazy in the mid to late 2010s when rap was easily the most dominant genre in all of music and pop culture. This was around the time where Drake was easily the undisputed biggest artist in the world. This was around the time where the trap sound that was really inspired by Future was the most popular sound in all of music, not just rap. This was just a time period where everyone was trying to get their hands on rap. This is the time period where we saw people like, Taylor Swift get a whole bunch of features from rap artists, get features from Kendrick and Future when she still was, still on her rise. She's obviously number one now, but when she was still kind of rising to be number one at that time, this was the time period where Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus were making rap music or making hip-hop adjacent music and really associating themselves with hip-hop and rap culture. This was around the time where Ariana Grande is releasing a song like Seven Rings that is basically just a trap song made by Ariana Grande. Recently, though, we have kind of seen the rebirth of pop music through obviously Taylor Swift and her just being the biggest thing in the world right now. And then also the young artists who are on the rise like a Sabrina Carpenter or an Olivia Rodrigo. But alongside pop music, there's also country music that has really exploded over the last couple of years with artists like Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Post Malone, who we'll get to later on, and even Beyonce taking part in country music. Just want to put a quick disclaimer out there too for everyone watching the video. This is obviously me talking in reference to rap in the mainstream media space, not rap, in the underground. Rap is always doing a whole bunch of crazy things, new innovative things, but I'm talking about rap at the tippity top of the game in pop culture, in the mainstream space, and where it is today. As antithetical as it may seem for me to be happy that rap is falling off, I kind of am glad that rap is falling off because I believe we are desperately in need for a reset in rap culture. Right now, we're still kind of hanging on to the fumes of like the 2010s trap era, and there doesn't seem to be anything kind of new coming into the space and really just taking over and becoming dominant. Now, of course, there are always new sounds and new waves popping up in rap because that's just what rap is. That's just how rap has always operated, but there's nothing that's really broken into the top mainstream scene of rap and really given us something fresh and something new to listen to. We're still kind of in the vibes and era and space of like 2016 and beyond trap music. And speaking of 2016 and beyond trap music, we haven't really gotten any new faces in a long time at the top of rap. We're still looking at the same guys that we've been looking at for a decade now at this point. Guys that blew up in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are still the guys at the very tip of the top, and it doesn't feel like any new faces are really challenging these guys as of yet. So we're still looking at the same guys with who knows what's ahead of us. It doesn't really look like there's a whole bunch ahead of us, at least at the moment. Of course, something could happen tomorrow to change that, but right now, it feels like we're going to continue to look at these guys that we've been looking at for a very long time. There also is a rise in uninspired gimmick artists kind of shooting up to the top of rap for short moments. Of course, they're not going to stay for long, but like they're kind of up there. And then alongside them, we have the Build-A-Bear rappers is what I like to call them. They're the rappers that pretty much have no talent, can't rap, but they're voice actors. They basically just get fed music and they spit it out. They're ventriloquist dummies. Those are some of the guys that have been rising to the top of rap. And we're also seeing a lot of people who enter the rap space just to enter the rap space to step into whatever they want to get to next. Just using it really as a stepping stone to go further and to do the things that they actually want to do, but they have to start using rap first. Rap is the thing that's going to get them in the door, but they really don't care about rap. A major sign that the culture really needs a reset and a refresh, in my opinion, is the fact that we haven't really gotten any new superstars since Travis Scott. Now, I've brought this up before in the past. I even made a whole video about it like some months ago. I don't know how long ago it was now. But Travis Scott was really the last person to rise to superstardom in rap around the year of like 2018, around Astroworld. And when I say superstar, I want this to be clear. This is a very specific category that I'm putting on these rappers. It's a very specific label. I don't mean anybody with a big name. I don't mean anybody with 40 million monthly listeners on Spotify. When I say superstar, I'm specifically talking about somebody who's a real household name. I mean somebody that sells hundreds of thousands first week when they put their album out. I mean somebody that can go on tour throughout the United States in NBA-sized arenas and sell out these venues, selling, those venues that have 15 to 20,000 seats in them. I mean somebody who can go overseas and have a huge crowd, thousands of people, and it's not a festival, because a lot of rappers do go overseas and have huge crowds, but they're doing festivals. I mean, you can show up in Amsterdam and it's just for you and it's thousands of people, and then you can go to the next city and the next city and you can do a real overseas tour. These are the names I'm talking about: the Drakes, the Nickys, the Coles, the Kendricks. These are the type of names that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anybody with any buzz, okay? I just want that to be clear. It's a very specific thing when I say superstar. You might have a different definition, but that's mine. And I don't think anybody past Travis Scott has met that definition. The closest guy to that was probably going to be Lil Baby. But a lot of Lil Baby's momentum has slowed down tremendously. He's still a huge star. He's still somebody that, rose into a huge star in 2020. And maybe you could have called him a superstar that year. But right now, that's just not the case. I don't think he ever truly became a real superstar in the way that I described it. We saw him in the past canceling shows in America because of lack of ticket sales. He couldn't do those big venues that I was talking about, these NBA venues, and consistently sell them out. It's one thing to sell it out in New York, in Atlanta, in LA, but when you can go to Denver and sell 15,000 seats, when you can go to Minnesota and sell 15,000, that's when you really become a superstar. So I think Lil Baby kind of just fell a little bit short of that mark. He's not somebody that fell off, but he just fell a little short of that mark. And then after Lil Baby, who are we really looking at to be the next superstar? I don't know, right? Maybe you can talk about Playboi Carti, but he doesn't drop very much. He doesn't drop very often, so we don't know what his numbers look like. He could drop his next album and sell 300K. He could drop his next album and sell 40K. We don't really know. Obviously, it's not going to be that big of a range. I think he's going to sell probably around 150, but you get what I'm saying. We don't really know. He's a question mark. So right now, there doesn't really seem to be any new superstars that are kind of budding through and becoming these household names in rap like the other guys that have already been there and still are there to this day. Right now, all the guys that are doing huge numbers and going on these super successful tours and selling out these massive arenas are the older guys, the guys that have been here for a while, the guys that are really superstars. Nicki Minaj, Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, Kanye. These are the guys that are still the superstars of rap to this day. The biggest moment in rap history over the last 20 years happened this year, and it was between two guys who are pushing 40. And of course, it's, two of the biggest rappers of all time, so of course that makes sense. But you get what I'm kind of getting at here. And there's no better sign that the culture needs a reset than all the guys who are at the top have been there for the last 10, 15 years. Even Future, you can throw someone in there like Future. All the guys at the top have been there for the last 10, 15 years now. And I just don't know. I don't really see anybody who's really threatening to take that spot at the moment. And that's kind of crazy because rap has always been a genre of movement, of change, of new. That's always been rap. New. So this is the first time that we've really seen a generation of superstars hold on for this long. Drake's been the number one guy in rap for 12 years if we're going to be conservative, maybe a little longer if we're going to be generous. That's a really long time. That's a really long time. Most people don't get to hold on for that long. Nicki's been the most dominant female in rap since 2010, and it hasn't been close since. Maybe Cardi B one of those years, maybe 2018. But it really hasn't been close since. These guys typically don't end up in that spot for that long. And normally in rap, when there's a change of power, when there's a change of dynamics and who's number one, who's number two, it's very violent and it's very quick. I don't mean literally physically violent, but it's like that. The new guy comes in, hey, watch out, old man. I'm number one. But the old men are still there. The old men, the old guys, the old Kendrick, Cole, they're still there. Nobody's pushed them out of the way yet. And that's a huge sign that the culture needs a refresh. The rap space sound has stalled at best in the mainstream. Now, of course, rap is always innovating and changing, and there's always something new popping up. But in terms of the top of rap, it's been pretty much the same. Now, Jersey Club did pop up and have a little moment for a little bit. New York Drill popped up and, caught a wave for a little moment. But for the most part, we've been listening to some of the same trap flows since 2016 at the top. Now, of course, I'm not talking about me specifically. I'm listening to a whole bunch of different stuff. But when we're looking at the mainstream, not just what I listen to, what I go out and look for, when we're talking about the mainstream, there hasn't been that much of a change just yet. And I feel like the fans are kind of getting sick of it. And I think the biggest sign of this is what happened with Polo G. Now, Polo G into 2019, 2020 was one of the rising stars of rap. He was somebody that everyone looked at as one of the next guys, one of the guys who was going to carry the genre into the future. He had a lot of hype surrounding his name. He had some great albums. He had Go. He had, I can't think of the other album, but Die a Legend. These were albums that were going crazy and really had people behind Polo G. He drops Hall of Fame, not the best, but whatever, right? I think people have started to move past the sound that we've been getting used to, and Polo G is a sign of that because if you look at what happened with his most recent album, Hood Poet, that was an album that was hyped up by Polo G and got pushed back, yes, but it pretty much kind of failed in the eyes of the mainstream world in terms of specifically the numbers. Now, me personally, I didn't like the album, but in terms of the numbers, it definitely failed. The album sold 24K first week. It sold less than Ice Spice's album. Polo G got outsold by Ice Spice first week. And Polo G, his previous album sold over 140,000 first week. Hall of Fame sold like 146 or something like that. So to go from 146 to 24 is a huge drop. Now, there are a whole bunch of things that you can add in there to throw context on it. It's not just, oh, he just dropped and nobody likes him anymore. You know, of course, the album was delayed by over a year. The album also came a couple years after Hall of Fame. He hasn't really been doing much since. His name hasn't been in the blogs. He also didn't have a lot of promotion for this album when he re-announced the actual date. There wasn't a whole bunch going on. There was no hype for this album. So, of course, the numbers are worse than Hall of Fame. But still, a drop from 140,000 to 24,000 is more than just, there was bad promo and the album had been, people had already waited for it, so they were sick of it. There's more to that story than just that. To go from 140 to 24, it means people have moved on. It means people aren't really checking for his music. It doesn't even mean necessarily that the project was bad in most people's eyes, even though I don't know. I don't know what most people thought of it. I can just tell you what I thought. I didn't like it. But that doesn't even necessarily mean that people thought it was bad. It just means nobody was checking for it. And that's a much bigger issue. That's a much bigger sign of, okay, we might be in trouble here. When people just aren't looking anymore rather than them having negative reviews. So I think Polo G is a sign that people are kind of getting sick and tired of that same old sound. Now, Polo G did try some different things on the album. Let me give him credit. It's not like he just made the exact same album. But I mean, the kind of music that he more so makes, people are just moving past it. The guys who have pretty much ran rap for the last few years also seem to be losing a little bit of steam with the fans. Now, it's not over for them. They're still doing great. They're still doing huge numbers. But you can see it starting to shift a little bit. The Lil Babies, the NBA Youngboys, the Lil Durks, the Kodak Blacks, the Polo Gs. You can see it starting to just shift just a bit. You can see that the fans, they like their music still, but it's not what it used to be. It's not like they're these budding new stars anymore who are consistently growing every single year where you're just like, man, who knows what their career is going to look like in 5 years. They're just going to keep growing to the top. No, it's slowed down a little bit. They're still successful, don't get me wrong, but you can see there's a little bit of fatigue going on here. It's kind of like, they're playing with their older toys and, the toys are still fun to play with. They're older and, they still have a good time, but man, they really would like some new toys. They really kind of want some new toys, but there's nothing wrong with the older toys. They're still going to have fun playing with them. They're just really ready for something new. Now we get to my main reason why I think rap falling off in the mainstream might just be a good thing, and it's that it will discourage the culture vultures and the Build-A-Bear rappers from trying to infiltrate the space because it's not as profitable as other spaces that could be infiltrated right now. Because in the 2010s, everyone wanted to be a part of rap. It was the thing that everyone wanted to do. We saw a whole bunch of people associating themselves with rap or really jumping into rap and rap culture because it was the pop-in lit thing to do. And that was the thing that they could use to get to actually where they wanted to be, where they actually wanted to be. And there's no better example of this than Post Malone. The guy that came out with White Iverson and the guy that we have today couldn't be further from each other. They're two completely different people. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say there's, something wrong with making different types of music. You can do that. You can expand your musical palette. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you do it in the way that he did it and with the quotes that he has behind him, you look like a culture vulture, and you are a culture vulture. I'm not trying to stop Post Malone from going and exploring his country music side and his rock side. Go do those things. That's great. That's fine. But when you just kind of discard rap and you have quotes behind your name that say things like, if you're looking for lyrics, if you're looking to cry, if you're looking to think about life, don't listen to hip hop. There's great hip hop songs where they talk about life and they spit real ish. But right now, there's not a lot of people talking about real ish. Whenever I want to cry, whenever I want to sit down and have a nice cry, I'll listen to some Bob Dylan. When you have quotes like that behind your name, we know what you are, bruh. He came in and he used rap to where he really wanted to go, which was the country/rock space. We also had somebody like Miley Cyrus who was in her wild phase and was associating herself with rap and hip hop and made songs like 23, which I'm not gonna lie. Look, I'm not gonna lie, that song is a banger, okay? I'm not sitting up here and saying every culture vulture, I'm not saying they all made trash music, okay? Because that song is a banger, but she came in the space and really just kind of accepted like ratchet club culture, I guess, and really kind of made that her thing, and she was acting wild and out of control around that era, and that was when she was running around shaking her little pancakes, and people thought she invented twerking, and people were saying she invented like ratchet and stuff. It was just a whole crazy era. If you weren't there, you wouldn't get it, but if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We also got, Justin Bieber in his like light skin era, as people like to call it, where he was really heavily associating himself with rap and hip hop culture. We also got people like Slim Jesus, who entered the drill space at the time and tried to be a drill rapper and did that thing for a little bit, but he never had the success of like a Miley Cyrus or a Justin Bieber. We also had somebody like Bad Baby who entered the space, who, again, I ain't gonna lie, she got some songs. I ain't gonna lie, that Gucci Flip Flop hit you, that song. Hey, I'm gonna keep it real too. That song is kind of hard, but like, you see, she entered the space and attempted to become a rapper, and we saw a whole bunch of other influencers kind of doing the same thing, entering the space, trying to make money off of something, because oftentimes with influencers, especially back in the 2010s when everything was still kind of new in terms of making money off social media, people were just trying things to have consistent money coming in, because that was kind of hard to do as an influencer. You had this big audience, but you didn't really have a good way to make a whole bunch of money. So they were selling things, doing a whole bunch of stuff, and oftentimes they would start making music. And what music would they make? Damn near every single time, when they weren't really trying to get into music like somebody like Joji, who really wanted to do music. What were they doing when they really just wanted to make some money from somewhere? They would make rap music. They wouldn't go and make country or pop. They would make rap, because that was what was popping at the time. Rap was the place of opportunity for people who had a whole bunch of clout and wanted to make some quick money, like Jake Paul. Jake Paul had the clout and the money to pay for the best producers, best writers, best engineers to come together, the best marketing. But do you really think Jake Paul gave a damn about rap? Of course not. We've also seen a lot of Build-A-Bear rappers that can't rap, can't write, and are literally just ventriloquist dolls. But because of how profitable the space has been, anyone can really go in and be successful if they're marketable and have the right team behind them. And of course, the music is being taken care of by somebody else, especially in the space for women right now. Women are going crazy in rap, and really have been for the last 5, 6, 7 years at this point. Like, women have been going up. And so labels see this and try to create their own version of what's going up. They try to create their own version to get a piece of that pie. And that's how we ended up with a Young Miami, or we end up with a Caribou today. Can't rap their way out of a paper bag, but because they're marketable and they can be likable, they can be successful as long as somebody else is taking care of their music. But if rap isn't as booming as it once was and isn't as profitable as it was a couple of years ago, we're not going to see labels continue to create these science project rappers and funding them. We're not going to see that anymore, at least not as often as we see it right now. Look at Caribou again. Caribou, according to Lil Yachty, is $900K in the hole, and he is her label executive, so he would know. $900K in the hole. And for as bad as, labels have been for rap and rap culture and how terrible they can be to these artists at times, they're never going to fund anything that's consistently losing them money. So even though they're not doing it for the love of the culture, they're not going to stop these lab science project rappers for the love of the culture. They're going to stop doing it because they're not profitable anymore. And you know what? I'll take it. A win is a win. Rap has been so poorly gatekept that really there isn't any gatekeeping going on, and there really isn't a lot of respect for rap culture. So maybe rap falling to the third, fourth, fifth most popular genre in America and not being the hot new toy, trending toy that everyone wants to play with will kind of unintentionally put a wall around rap, and it will discourage all the people who want a quick come up from going into the rap space, and maybe it'll encourage them to go put on, their cowboy hat and some cowboy boots. I think what rap is experiencing right now is burnout. The genre has lost a little bit of its sauce, and that's just what happens when you continue to win. When you win and win and win and win, you don't really focus on the little things. You start to slack off a little bit. You don't really focus on everything. You just, you let up. You get a little lazy, and that's kind of what's happened to the genre. And of course, I'm talking about in the mainstream space, rap has, kind of slacked off a little bit. And rap is always going to be a super mainstream genre. That's never going to change again. Rap is always going to be at the tippity top, at least, super commercialized. And there's going to be artistry, sacrifice for commercialization, and money. That's always going to be a thing that's never going to go away. But I still believe that there is a certain standard that we should hold for rap still, regardless, okay? Gimmick artists are always going to exist and blow up. It's always going to be a thing. Trash artists are always going to accidentally stumble and fall their way into blowing up. That's always going to be a thing. But when rap is at a lower state, the people who actually really care about the space have more control over it. Rap may be down now, but it will eventually pick back up and become this huge monster again. I just think rap needs to take a little bit of a back seat, calm down, and refresh and come back with a whole bunch of new waves and new sounds that are authentic, because authenticity will always rule all when it comes to rap. Now, yes, it doesn't always feel like that's the case and things can get changed and all that stuff, but in the beginning of pretty much everything that's ever trended and become a huge thing and become really popular and become a huge wave, it started off genuine and authentic in the rap space. It may go down the line and get bastardized. It probably will go down the line and get bastardized if it becomes this huge thing, but it always starts off as genuine and authentic. And I think that's what rap really needs right now. But that's going to be the end of my video. If you agree, if you disagree, whatever you got to say down below in the comments. Call me an idiot. Call me the smartest person on earth. Call me whatever you want to call me. Just let me know down below in the comments. I want to hear it all. But if you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Again, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. All those things help me out a ton. Make sure you tell me what you think about this subject down below in the comments. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.